Welcome to the Shootaround podcast, episode 1. My name's Josh.
My name is Mackenzie, and we are basketball addicts. We just want to talk about some basketball, shoot the shit, hence the Shootaround podcast.
Correct. Yeah. So we hope you guys like listening to people talk about basketball and throw random shit in there and a bunch of, questionable takes.
There's going to be a lot of those, so get ready. Prepare yourselves. Open a window because the takes will be very hot. Turn the AC on, that sort of thing. Get some airflow in here.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of background. I'm from Canada. I've been in Australia for a couple years. I met Josh through a basketball team. Turns out we were both just absurdly addicted to basketball, I think.
Yeah.
And decided let's talk hoops. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm Sydney born, moved to Brisbane.
Gotcha.
We ended up winning the premiership last year in our basketball team, and we decided that, other people needed to hear what we had to say about basketball because it was almost ridiculous how much we talked about it, that we got bored of hearing each other talk about it, and now other people get to hear us talk about it.
And mostly people will probably be using it to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Like a good sleep aid.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. Good
I think so, man. Yeah. Like if you're listening to us and you're falling asleep, good night.
Yeah. Have a good one.
We'll see you on the next episode if you don't listen to this one.
At 10 p.m.
At 10 p.m. Yeah.
All right. So, basically, just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a rundown of the season that's coming up.
Look, firstly, let's follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at the Shootaround Pod. I think Twitter is just Shootaround Pod. I can check that though.
You're probably right, yeah.
I made all these through the week, man. Give me a break.
You weren't doing enough work. I'm just disappointed.
It's the
inconsistency is just.
We haven't uploaded anything today, so that's a problem.
Yeah. We'll get on it.
Yeah, so it's just at Shootaround Pod on Twitter. But yeah, everything else is the Shootaround Podcast.
Yep.
Follow us on everything you can find us on. We'll upload a bunch of stuff for you guys to stay entertained and plenty of questions for you guys as well. And if you have anything to ask us, just shoot it.
DM. Hit up the DMs.
Yeah, slide in there.
Yeah.
Pause.
Slide right in. So pause. Moving on to basically we're gonna run through a bit of the regular season that's coming up.
Yep.
A bit of a draft review, so to speak. Try to make quick hitters on it.
Just hit them with the first half of the season, I reckon, like the key dates on the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. So first half of the season, December 1st here, we're looking at training camps until December 11th.
Yep.
That's when preseason starts until the 19th. December 22nd is opening night.
Yep.
There's definitely going to be some Christmas games, so look out for that. And then All-Star break is March 5th to March 10th.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit later than usual. Unfortunately, that misses Josh's birthday as per usual, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, normally I take that day off and make it sound like I'm watching the All-Star game.
Yeah.
But really, I'm falling asleep on the couch. Not a big All-Star guy, but hey,
fair enough.
If it's on my birthday, I'll take it.
Okay.
But yeah, this year it doesn't fall there.
I was hoping to say we could get Adam Silver on the line and just discuss moving that back for you, but if you're gonna fall asleep, we won't worry about it.
No, let's call Adam. Let's get him on the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speed dial, right? Yeah.
Maybe.
I thought you did.
I'll just start typing a number and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
Anyway,
like a good plan.
Yeah. Let's get into the podcast. Let's get cracking.
All right. So, we'll start with the draft. We'll let Josh start here. So we're gonna pick winners, losers, and sleepers.
Mm-hmm.
Lead us off.
I have a returning star in my winners section. So a guy that's been subject of a lot of trade rumors and two guys actually on that team have just been thrown around the trade mill like there's nothing else going on over there. I got Washington picking up Denny Abdia.
Okay.
At 9, falling out of the top 3. I thought that was ridiculous.
Yeah, he was worthy of a pick.
Man, I think he's a better prospect than Wiseman. That's a hot take, but I do think that Denny is a better prospect than Wiseman. And I like LaMelo too, but I do think that Denny has a lot in his game that those guys don't.
He has a more well-rounded game. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I don't agree that the Wizards won, but that's obviously this is your take. But yeah, Denny's good. He's a great player. Very versatile, very high IQ, even at a young age.
Yeah.
Played in Europe against men.
Yeah.
So that's a bonus.
Yeah.
It's not just I like we talked a little bit before the podcast, like in Europe you have soft Euro syndrome that a lot of the GMs are looking at, maybe a bit too much.
Yeah.
But they're playing against men.
Yeah.
In college.
Yeah.
Guys like, Wiseman or whatever. They're playing against a bunch of guys that are going to go to class the next day, and it's not like a real the focus of the rest of the players is not as serious as in like a EuroLeague, where it's like they're playing for money. It's a profession, so to speak. College is a little bit more laid back. There's still a lot of good players, but the level of competition is higher in Europe.
Yeah, look, I think it's a really professional system over there. I think that a lot of people underestimate just how serious basketball is over there. I think the stigma of the NBA being the only basketball competition in the world is played out. I think Luka is testament to that.
Absolutely.
Plus a lot of the guys coming over to Australia and then going back. These are guys that can easily transition from the NBL to the NBA. We've seen Bogut do it, although he finished with the MVP over here. He's no MVP in the NBA, but he is a good NBA player.
Absolutely.
And he ends up going over there and putting up doubles, and the comparison is there for NBA players to be NBA ready from the NBL. And
Absolutely.
Even coming out of Europe, it's the same story. Like, these are guys that have only just missed the cut or have made the cut professionally over there.
That's right.
And have been there for years and years. So I think that Denny pick is very impressive. Look, the other guy I really like on the Wizards now is Cassius Winston. I think that is one that fell way too far. He's a guy that put up some big numbers in college and is a leader. He is an absolute leader.
Right. Floor general?
Yeah, man.
Would you say?
Yeah. He put in a double-double against Duke. So that was the Zion Williamson Duke team that was knocked out that year.
High profile type of game. Yeah, that's important.
He was big in that one. He put up 20 points and 10 assists. And like the leadership, the stuff that's just not measurable, that's the type of stuff that really jumps off the page with him.
Yeah.
Just seeing the way that he dictates a game and gets the guys around him to rally is very impressive.
He would learn a lot from John Wall too, presumably, if he sticks around. A lot of rumors flying around with him and Beal and what have you, but yeah.
Like, he's a consistent shooter too, and I think that's something that a lot of teams need, especially off the bench. Having a guy that you can just plug straight in. He reminds me a lot of Malcolm Brogdon. And the rookie season that Malcolm Brogdon had, where he just came off the bench and shot lights out from three. This is a dude that averaged 18.5 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 6 assists, as well as over 1 steal a game.
That's pretty good.
So, man, defensively, he's there. This is 2.5 3-pointers a game on 44% shooting.
That's good.
So the guy is solid, very impressive. He's very impressive.
Sounds like he's got a mature game.
He is, man. Very well-rounded game. Very well-rounded.
The Wizards need, they need what they can get, and you're on it. Like, Denny and him, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Did you have any other points with that?
No, man. That's all. That's all I got. I really do think that Cassius could be a dark horse for that Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
I really do think that this guy is going to be very good. Very good.
I think that's a fairly hot take for Rookie of the Year. But, I mean...
a second-round pick.
Yeah, no, if he's that good, that would be amazing. That's very Brogdon of him if he were to do that.
In a draft with, the amount of good guys that there were, I really think that he was a steal.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I had... and this is probably going to be controversial, but I had the Pistons winning the draft. I wouldn't say they won the offseason by any stretch of the imagination, because their roster is an absolute mess. But the Pistons...
We'll get into that.
Absolutely, yeah. They're a hot topic.
Yeah.
They're worth talking about for sure.
Yeah.
But they picked up Killian Hayes, who I thought was a top 10. Well, he went top 10, but I thought he was very, very good in the limited, from what you saw of him over in Europe. He was really good. he can be a starting player next to Derrick Rose for now, and he probably is going to get a lot of minutes. I hope Dwayne Casey uses him right. I'm not the biggest Dwayne Casey fan.
Yeah.
I'm as a Raptor fan, like we had to deal with him for many years. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But then they also got Isaiah Stewart at 16. Great center prospect. The Pistons have a glut of centers, which is kind of shocking.
Well, yeah, especially picking up a guy like that, you know, who was a projected lottery pick.
That's right.
As I said, you know, before the pod, he is a very good prospect.
Yeah.
I think the athleticism is what jumps off the page the most with a guy like that.
Yeah.
His height is nothing, you know, physically that special
right.
as far as his height and his wingspan. It's nothing that jumps off the page, but the athleticism is there, especially for a guy that big. That kind of Bam Adebayo build.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. That's sort of athlete and that type of game. Hopefully.
Well, I don't think he has the same passing and vision.
Not yet.
But yeah, that athleticism and that ability to dunk versatile. The ball and blow by people is definitely there.
So the Pistons also, in addition to Killian Hayes and Isaiah Stewart, they picked up Sadiq Bey. He's another guy I really like. So I just feel like the Pistons won the draft not based on like high quality, like a single or two guys, but they got three they kind of got like 3 7.5s as opposed to getting like a 9.5 in like Edwards or whatever. So I think
I wouldn't even put Edwards up there.
No, he's
I think
it's a bit high actually.
I think honestly that Edwards, I don't like the Edwards pick
with the T-Wolves.
I don't like that pick. Man.
Oh, dude,
I don't like that pick.
Well, I think we can get into that in a minute because actually, like, I had a header here. I wanted to talk about Edwards specifically.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Because he's an enigmatic selection and player and personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot to unfold there.
Yeah.
But why don't you go ahead and pick your loser for the draft?
Man, I think this is. Look, they're not losers for who they picked.
Okay.
I think they're losers for picking a position that they already have stacked.
Okay.
Where they could have gone a different route and possibly picked up a guy with more value. They also passed on Halliburton, which
every team that passed on Halliburton might be a loser. That's
really grinding my gears.
Go on. Yeah,
grinding my gears. Look, once I name these forwards, they needed a point guard, and they ended up picking a guy with, you know,
I'm trying to think who it would be.
Jump off the board athleticism. Yeah, man. Who do you think it is?
So they picked a forward.
Yeah.
And they need a guard.
Yes.
Like a floor general.
Yeah.
I have no idea, actually. Go on.
It's your favorite team.
Really?
It's the Knicks.
Oh, Jesus. The Knicks. Oh, dude. Yeah, top it, of course. They picked another power forward.
Yeah. Man, this is... Look, I like Toppin. Okay?
So do I.
Don't get me wrong here.
He's nice.
This is nothing against Obi Toppin, and he could potentially turn out to be a nice pick.
Yeah.
But I think the Knicks, as an organization, lost the draft.
Wow.
They had, you know, you've got guys like Kevin Knox that they traded for Amari Spellman. They've got Brazdeikis on the roster, who's a shooter. Like, that guy can shoot. And Julius Randle, who they gave
a lot of money,
this big contract to. And, you know, I think when you've got a guy like Halliburton there, you need a point guard. Why pick a power forward with athleticism when you've got guys like that on the roster already?
I know what you mean, yeah.
You know, and look, for all of Obi's top side, for a team that defensively struggled, like, big time last year.
One of the worst, if not the worst.
Yeah.
I think the Cavs might have been the worst, but yeah, they're in the bottom 5.
They were terrible.
Yeah.
I think that says enough. And they pick a guy that can't really defend or hasn't shown that he's able to defend, was really lazy on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, he was.
And he would leak out really early. And that's a problem, especially in the NBA when you've got teams that'll catch that and then you're shorter man.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's right.
Like, that's a guy that's ready to run and wants to pull off a highlight play. Like, it's not a bad thing, but you need to help on the defensive side of the ball.
It's also, not exactly the pick they needed. I think they went for that pick because he might have been, again, they passed on Halliburton. And that's where I see your point of like they need a guard.
Halliburton is potentially a triple-double threat.
Yeah.
You know, every night. Like
absolutely.
He picks up big-time numbers, and
knows the game.
Beyond the numbers. He is a floor general and has the potential to be someone that can manage your team. And especially with a guy like RJ Barrett, who has the ability to handle the ball, but I don't think that the Knicks have managed that pick right to this point. As far as, you know, giving him the ball and being like, okay, you know, here you go. Not really any structure around it. It's just kind of being, hey, here's your team.
I'll tell you what, actually, now that you bring that up, Barrett, obviously, he has a lot of talent. I hope he works out. It might not be the right team for him, although I do think he's a special talent in a lot of different regards. But if you were to put Halliburton next to them, that could be the backcourt of your future. Yeah. So I kind of agree that the Knicks are maybe not, they weren't my pick for the losers, but they're one of the 3 biggest losers of the draft. Like,
yeah. And again, I just want to reiterate, that's nothing against Obi Toppin.
Yeah, he's sick.
Yeah, his second year of college was a bit of a worry. He had a lot of numbers there that weren't there the year before. The turnovers went up, and his shooting numbers regressed a little bit. He started to miss more shots. I think that might be a product of being on the floor more and being the guy. You know, at
Dayton,
he was the guy there. So, you know, the increased turnovers are a product of that. But you know, you ideally, especially in college, want to see those things go up.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
You want to see your turnovers decline. You want to see the shooting splits go up. You want a guy, especially taken at that number, to be a consistent threat night in, night out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on with a lot of that. I think Toppin, if he gets the so like we were saying, they have a glut at power forward or
and
just even
gross.
at bigs.
It's gross.
It's not a great rotation.
Yeah.
So like if he gets the minutes and he gets the chance to flourish, it could be good for them. But yeah, I think they probably should have picked up Halliburton.
Yeah.
My loser was actually the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
Because I don't like Patrick Williams at 4 at all. I like Patrick Williams. Yeah. I was watching his highlights and what have you, and I was looking at like even interviews with him. I can see why they might have picked him, but I don't like that pick. It's way too high. They would have made more sense for them to move the pick and get a player that moves the needle for them.
Yeah.
Because right now, there's so many rosters in the East that's just like, what is happening right now? The Pistons, the Bulls, the Knicks, even the Hornets. Again, that's another topic.
Cavs.
Jesus. The bottom 5 is ugly in the East, and no one cares about them.
Yeah.
So that's pretty rude, actually. Someone does care about them.
Lots of people care about them.
I apologize. People do care.
Yeah.
But it's shit at the bottom of the East.
It is.
So my point, was just that Patrick Williams wasn't the right pick at number 4. He's a great defensive player, has high potential.
Yeah.
His highlights, he looks a bit like, not Tyrese Thomas, but he reminds me of that type of like, his athleticism, he's rangy. He seems like he will be versatile in the future. And the GM was quoted as saying they could see him improving in their system. What system? The system is just...
They just got a new coach.
Well, yeah, they got a new coach. And like Billy Donovan's cool. He's a good coach if you have the right players.
How can you announce the system before having it out on the floor? How can you be like, this system's going to work for this guy? Yeah. We haven't seen it yet.
We haven't seen anything. So it was a bit of a stretch. I would have liked to have seen Patrick Williams go maybe in like the top, maybe in like 7 to 14.
Yeah. I
think he was lottery talent. Yeah. But number 4 is a stretch.
I had him about 10. Okay. I had him falling to about 10. Look, I like him, but again, that
number 4.
That's a worry. I had him as my boring pick.
Like I see what you mean. Nothing really special.
No, like he's good defensively. He's good athletically, but going down the list of players that were available.
Yeah.
And I can circle back around to Tyrese, but I'm not going to do that again.
See, that I can see why they wouldn't have picked him. Like Tyrese, again, him falling was a big story in the draft. But I can see why they didn't pick him because they have
Denny there too, man. Like, that's frustrating for me to see teams pass up on guys that have played big minutes and
almost
important games. Yeah, these are guys that can step in right away, and you can slot them into a system because they have been in multiple systems. Like Denny's played for a couple of different teams. Maccabi Tel Aviv is a very good EuroLeague team.
It is.
They had a Murray Stoudemire on that roster too. Like
they've had a few good players come through there recently.
And looking at the way that the Bulls went about picking a sixth man and a guy that he averaged 8 points.
The numbers don't jump off, and that's not why they picked him. That's what was explained by the GM. Again, it was about fit. They needed a forward, potentially they called him a game-changing forward.
I can see him being a Jabari Parker type pick, though. He could just, obviously opposite talent set.
No kidding,
where Jabari is the shooter.
Scoring machine, yeah.
But he could come in and just kind of, what he is now, that's it. That's what he is.
It's possible. That's what I was thinking. And that's why I bring up Tyrus Thomas. They're not the same player, but they're they show you flashes of talent and athleticism. And it's like, holy crap, this guy could be incredible.
Yeah.
But then if the mindset's not there, if the player development squad is not there to help bolster that growth.
And I think we've seen that with the Bulls.
Oh my God.
They don't have the guys there to be able to develop players.
They had Jim Boylan, who is one of the worst coaches I've ever seen in my life.
Probably the worst coach of all time.
Possibly. I'd put him in the top 10. NBA coaches, worst NBA coaches I've seen, top 10.
Yeah.
Because he was abrasive.
Yep.
He feuded with the best player on the team, Levine, all this other shit that came out. So
and he's not using his guys right.
Look,
the other thing that upset me about that Bulls pick is they've got Wendell Carter on the roster.
Yeah.
And he was subject of a lot of trade rumors.
He was.
They were actually going to trade up to try and take him at 2. Trying to take Patrick Williams at 2.
Wow, I didn't hear that rumor. That's absurd.
Yeah,
That's
because they thought that another team was going to try and jump up and do the same thing.
Wow.
And I couldn't see anyone else doing that. And it's that would be such a Bulls thing to do, to trade assets for nothing.
For whatever.
Yeah. You could have traded back in that draft and probably still picked up Patrick Williams.
That's what I would exactly. You said 10. 10's a good number for that.
Well, you've especially got, Denny's still on the board. You've got Tyrese on the board.
Yep.
There would have been suitors there, surely, to pick up another asset.
You would think so.
Look, obviously we're not in the war room. We're not taking those phone calls.
I think we should have been for that pick.
Absolutely.
But we would have made a conscious decision.
Look,
there.
If the Bulls need a new GM, I'm on board.
I vote for him.
Yeah.
I can be his assistant.
Look, I wore the shirt.
That's exactly right.
For this exact reason.
He's looking out for Chicago.
Yeah.
The Chicago GM was not looking out for Chicago with that pick.
The Chicago GM was sabotaging the ball. No, that's a bit harsh. This is not having a go at any of these draft picks.
No slander here.
Yeah, I think these guys are all, they've made the NBA. That's incredible.
And we're chatting about it.
Yeah, we're just talking about it. But
what is that pick?
I'm looking at the Bulls. Not Patrick. Patrick's done everything he can to get himself into that position, and he'll do everything he can out on the court.
Yeah.
But I think from the Bulls' perspective, when you have so many holes in that roster, and I'll get into them a bit more because they've done nothing this offseason. They have done nothing.
Absolutely.
And they're just kind of, happy to throw players around in trade rumors, which, that's a separate discussion. But I like Patrick Williams. I just don't think that Chicago made the right pick there.
I agree with that, yeah. The next thing we'd be talking about would be sleeper picks. So someone could be overlooked a bit or a pick that no one's talking about that you feel like fell under the radar.
Look, I kind of want to go back and mention Cassius again.
Okay.
I think that I went over it before, so I'm not going to dwell too much on it. But this is a guy that is just incredibly talented.
Yeah.
He has a lot of upside, and falling to the second round was a shock for me.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I actually had Denny as my sleeper because he fell. And
so 2 Washington guys.
Yeah.
So could you say that they were the winners of the draft?
Didn't look at it like that. We just had a epiphany.
There you go.
The Wizards,
I had the Wizards as the winners.
Man,
so
that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. You might have just ruined my entire argument.
I did.
I helped myself ruining it. But yeah, they might have won the draft if not.
This is the best part about not sharing notes.
That's right.
Because you're just proving my point without me having to say anything.
This won't happen this much in the future. But Denny is a sleeper for me. I don't think a lot of people are going to talk. First of all, he went to Washington, which is not on the radar, unless you're talking about Beal and Wall trades.
Yeah.
They signed like Robin Lopez. They re-signed Bertans, which is good.
That contract too, man.
Which one? Bertans?
Robin.
You don't like it?
$9 million, man, for 1 year.
Backup center.
Yeah.
Or maybe a starting center. They're gonna have Thomas Bryant still.
He'll probably be the starter. I think Thomas Bryant is. He actually has good plus minus defensively. Like on the court, he does a lot.
He's like, he would be a good fit on the right team.
Yeah.
But the Wizards, he's just sort of wasting away in Wizard land.
Yeah. Like a lot of players have.
Yeah. It's a sad place sometimes.
It can be.
But I guess Denny, I just am a fan of versatile guys that make their teammates better.
Yeah.
He's a good shooter.
Yeah.
Could be better, obviously.
Yeah.
Good feel for the game.
Yep.
Plays with an intensity.
I have nothing to add to any of this because I have already gone in for Denny.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I also actually, I had a bonus sleeper was Tyrese, only because he reminds me, like, I like the comparison of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
It's just like plays at his own pace, not rushing, still gets to his spots, can get to the rim, triple-double threat, like you said. So, good IQ. Tyrese is going to surprise a lot of people.
I do love Tyrese. Yeah. I love that pick. I think that is the best pick that Sacramento have made in years. And I like De'Aaron Fox. I thought Marvin Bagley was a bit of a reach at 2.
Questionable.
Yeah, but look, he's done nothing wrong so far. He just has a long way to go. But big men,
it's the way it is.
They take a while. But yeah, I think that pick is huge for Sacramento, and that's their backcourt sorted.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think they can just run with that. Find a suitor for.
Because Tyrese is a catch and shoot guy too. You can play him off ball and he will still affect the defense just with the way that he plays. He finds the soft spots.
Makes the right pass.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Good
and
IQ,
he will find guys open if you get him the ball. And that's the other thing. De'Aaron then won't have the whole game on his shoulders, which is huge for him, especially getting that contract. You got to take it out. That's the thing.
Like, Hield isn't a bad fit necessarily with Fox.
Yep.
But when you have the double creator
yep.
with the two of them, I think that's a better fit. They're going to probably trade Hield because he's not getting along with Walton, the coach, who I'm actually shocked that Luke Walton hasn't been a good coach for the Kings.
I don't like him as a coach.
He's not my favorite, but he was he has a good basketball mind. Maybe it's just the coaching role that's not right for him. Maybe he's better suited to stay as an assistant.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think if they, like you said, if they do Fox and Halliburton together, running things in the backcourt, that's a good creation team.
Yeah.
Get rid of Hield,
who
I like as well, but that's not going to work anymore.
Yeah.
And then they're, like you said, backcourt sorted. So that's the sleepers.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about Anthony Edwards because he's a bit of a hot topic for many different reasons, as people probably know. He made some comments that he wasn't even really a fan of basketball.
I hate that.
I'm not a huge fan of that either. I think he said something like he was better at football, and he is also, it just was, he wanted to be a rapper.
And he called out one of the first things he did as a drafted. Look, this guy's got a lot of history, and I think you need to keep that separate to this because there's a lot of personal stuff in this guy's life that have probably made him,
how he is.
Yeah, and
shaped him.
I'm not calling this guy's character into question.
Nah.
What?
It's too early. What
I think we need to do is look at this as he was going to go number one from the day Minnesota got that first pick.
Yeah.
I don't think they were ever going to take anyone else. Even
Unlikely.
when LaMelo was thrown around, I never thought that they were going to take LaMelo. But Edwards has said a lot of things that make you kind of question
commitment.
Yeah, to basketball, and that's not again a character thing. I think that's just you've either got that or you don't.
Yeah.
And it reminds me a little bit of the Markelle Fultz pick.
Okay.
He's not a number one guy. He
in most drafts, you mean?
Yeah. He's not a number one pick.
Okay.
And I think you only need to look at the guys that are available coming up, like.
Yeah.
There's the Cade Cunningham. He is
Studley.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. He's good.
And you don't get that out of this draft.
Yeah, Timberwolves, I guess they were in a bit of a tough spot. They had a tough draft to sort through and sift through what was the best pick. They decided on Edwards, and I could see why.
Yeah.
I mean, he has tantalizing physical tools.
Yeah.
He has, to me, honestly, if you put the comments aside, like I just wanted to address the comments.
Yeah.
So he's 18 or 19 years old.
Yeah.
I should probably have fact checked that.
Yeah.
But he's very young.
He's 19.3 years old according to NBADraft.net.
Cool.
I don't know how you get a 0.3. I think
That's
it might be taking the months into account, but I wouldn't have put a 0.3 on it. I would have just said no. He's 19. Yeah.
That's a bit childish. Anyway, he's so 19.3 years old specifically.
Yeah.
If he was 19.4, I'd start to have problems with that comment.
I agree.
But 19.3,
19.4,
forgivable.
That's a bad guy.
That's a bad.
19.3 is fine. As soon as you hit that 0.4, that's it.
That's when you're a man.
Yeah.
0.4.
Yeah.
So then so at 19 years old, he is gonna make. We all go back to being 19. You're gonna make mistakes. I still make mistakes. I'm 27.
Yeah.
I think whatever he said is forgivable. I think the GM would have sorted through his personal stuff and decided he was the right pick.
Yeah.
Obviously based on talent. I also think he's very confident. Obviously.
Yeah.
He wants to be a rapper. He played confident in college with Georgia.
Yeah.
So I think he's also he can be very marketable. He kind of has the look of the star to me.
Yeah.
Although he may not pan out that way, and I can see why the T-Wolves took him. I also think he has a higher ceiling than D'Angelo Russell, personally. And I know that's probably saying a lot. You might think that's extremely hot.
That's
he's 6'6", 225, 230.
He's a lot bigger than D'Angelo.
He's physically imposing.
Lot bigger than D'Angelo.
And he's got a good handle.
Yeah.
His shooting numbers, everyone's talked about, they were underwhelming in college.
Very.
The team didn't win a lot, so you have to question whether he's making his teammates better for a first overall pick. But they went with talent.
And that's what reminds me of Markel, just that winnability. This is another guy that came out of college and did not have a good record in college. Yeah. And I think when you're at that level and you're touted as a superstar, you have to affect winning games. And you have to take your team over that line.
Yeah.
So that's what worries me about the pick. And I think that you have to be able to shoot to be taken first overall.
Yeah, and I think with practice,
you have to have a shot.
He has good mechanics, which I'm not worried about.
Yeah.
Once he gets the reps in a professional environment, surrounded by professionals, coaching staff, nutritionists, all that stuff, it's going to start to play a part in his improvement.
Yeah.
That's why when you pick him first overall, you're obviously looking at the future. He could be your all-star guard. I see him as an all-star. The West is loaded, but he has that type of talent.
Yeah.
So that was that's my rant on Anthony Edwards.
That's fine. You can think that he is a potential star. I think that they missed on that one.
Who should they have gone with?
That's an excellent question.
Anyone else?
I don't think there's anyone that's. You're right. Like that is a good point.
It's
and
sort of like
I'll take that.
You got to go with him.
Yeah.
It was one of those drafts.
Yeah.
Do you remember the 2013 draft?
Yeah.
It had the same sort of vibe where it's just like, okay, Nerlens Noel, Oladipo, and then the Cavs pick Anthony Bennett, which is like, that's a whole episode.
You could have taken anyone else, but
yeah, that's a whole episode to discuss. And obviously the winner of that draft was Giannis, but no one knew what Giannis was going to be.
No, but I think you had to look at that guy's size and athleticism, and the work ethic.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Let's stay.
That could be another episode.
That could be. That could be an episode.
Okay. But yeah, so now that's the draft. Obviously, winners, losers, sleepers.
Yep.
That's all wrapped up. We're going to get into the free agency madness. It's been a mad free agent period.
I really struggled keeping up with the news.
Me too.
Really struggled.
I'm all over refreshing on Reddit. Yeah. That's my main source. Shout out to r/NBA.
Yeah.
They are on it. And obviously you have guys like Woj and Shams. There's a handful of other names I can't think of, but they're always on top of things. But it's hard to keep up. I don't know how they do it.
I don't know either.
I know it's their job, and I know they just must be like on phone calls with people, and then they're getting 3 other phone calls at the same time.
I think they have like 6 phones.
Woj does.
Yeah.
I think he has at least 3 phones.
I've seen him take out 3 at
just one pocket, 3 phones.
Yeah.
And he just like spreads them.
Yeah. Like cards.
Deny, answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. He's like, oh, this one's important. He the free agency was nuts. It was absolutely
There's
crazy.
a lot going on.
And for a free agency that didn't have a lot of big names in it.
It's true.
It
worked out pretty
surprising.
Well from a fan's perspective.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about.
Well, yeah, it stayed interesting, and especially just around the corner from the season is probably the best part about it, because now we get to talk about this for the next 2 weeks before the season starts.
Exactly. I would say as well, like free agency wise, I think and I should pull up the list of whoever's available still. I think the pool is kind of dried up, but there's still trades that could happen between now and training camp, and that's something else we can talk about as well. There's a lot of teams flying around with rumors, but just in terms of signings, again, we're going to pick some winners, losers, and our biggest meh. Our biggest
meh.
Whatever.
Biggest
Yeah, exactly. You weren't too impressed.
Whatever.
So I'll start this one, actually.
Yeah.
Lakers dominated
Are they your
free
winner?
agency.
They are your winner.
A runaway winner.
Yeah.
By, I don't even see an argument against it. So they replaced Howard and McGee.
I didn't want to put the Lakers for this exact reason. I
Go on.
I don't have an argument. That's the thing.
Oh, okay.
I had nothing to say against
You almost have to pick someone else.
Yeah, I had to
You
pick
might have felt like I was going to pick the
I
Lakers.
knew you'd pick the Lakers, because who wouldn't?
That's right.
That's
fair.
But I also looked at the trades.
Oh, right.
And I thought that factored into how people felt about their free agency. They still lost key contributors, especially in that playoff run. So I think that's
Rondo was a big loss.
Yeah.
I like Schroeder isn't Rondo.
And Avery Bradley, who was huge through the season.
Yeah.
Yes, he didn't contribute in the bubble, the playoffs.
Yeah.
But
I think they also did lose out. I'm a big Danny Green fan. He didn't play super well in the playoffs.
But again, that's a trade.
But yeah.
Yeah, they made a lot of good trades.
Yeah.
And I think that's Wes Matthews is a great addition.
Yeah.
That's
outstanding.
That's a guy that, his numbers never jump off the page. He's never going to have a huge night.
He's a great fit for that team.
He is a great fit. He locked up Jimmy Butler in the playoffs when we played the Bucks. And I say we because I'm a Heat fan. Spoiler alert. But
I'm sure he did. I didn't realize he was locking down Butler. I thought Butler had his way.
No,
he wasn't paying attention.
No, whenever he was on the court, he had Butler.
Okay. Matthews is he's like white on rice sometimes with defense.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say sometimes, all the time.
Yeah.
He's a great replacement for Danny Green.
Mm-hmm.
They also picked up obviously Harrell and Schroeder, two of the top 3 sixth men candidates.
Yeah.
Most likely one of them, well, maybe not most likely, but Schroeder potentially could be starting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Harrell is going to be starting. I think this is the thing. They went from Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, they had Avery Bradley. So they went from, let's say, Bradley, Green, LeBron, Davis, McGee, to now they have Caldwell-Pope. They're probably going to start Matthews. Then you would have LeBron, Davis, and Marc Gasol. I love the Marc Gasol pickup.
Yeah.
So they're going to have Schroeder, Harrell, Caruso. Help me out a bit here. Who else do they have? I should have the roster in front of me. I'm fucking useless.
Don't put me on the spotlight now. Literally.
Kuzma.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Kuzma fan, but he's good.
Kuzma will be traded. That's a spoiler alert. But
yeah, you have Pelinka on speed dial again. So
I think that Kuzma is out.
He's out.
Yeah.
I don't think LeBron likes him.
I don't think he does either.
There's a
playoff clip. You guys can find this, but there's a playoff clip where he says, I don't know if it was last year or it was during the playoffs where he said, "Stay down and your brother will pick you up." And then there's a clip of Kuzma just throwing this ridiculous over-the-shoulder 360 spin pass.
That sounds like him.
That sails straight past LeBron's face, and LeBron just turns and walks away.
Okay. So then,
and Kuzma's laying on the ground waiting to be picked up. So
Kuzma is I don't want to do too much of a segue to Kuzma. He doesn't deserve a segment per se.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really fit well on that team.
Yeah.
He's got a Hollywood-esque vibe to him.
Yeah.
He likes the spotlight.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he likes to.
You saying the blonde hair?
Well, yeah. The blonde hair works for some guys. It doesn't work for other guys.
Wow.
I think it works for podcast hosts.
Oh.
But for Kyle Kuzma, it's a no.
Yeah. Okay. So
also,
just Kyle Kuzma. It doesn't work for Kyle
specifically
Kuzma.
For him. Yeah. I think if he had his regular hair color, he might have had a good season.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think I agree. He's getting traded. So basically, I think they'll have the sickest bench in the league. They also stole.
Well, they kept Markieff as well. That's a good. That's a good
yes.
keep.
I want to talk about something about that specifically.
Okay. Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But they picked up. Yeah, so they picked up Harrell from the Clippers, stole him.
Yeah.
They got Schroeder from OKC, so that's another. Not that OKC was going to move the needle.
Yeah.
They got two of the best 6 men in the league who could start.
Yep.
They lost a bit of verticality. I remember there was a podcast where someone talked about this with McGee and Howard.
Yeah.
So like lob threats, you still have Davis.
Yeah.
But Gasol's basketball IQ is through the roof.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I think he
defensive impact. That's what I mean. That's his
Raptors
number one.
My Raptors are gonna miss.
Yeah,
Gasol.
we'll get into that because I've got a little bit on the Raptors later.
Okay.
But I really like the pickup of Gasol. I think that's
he's good.
Probably the most underrated pickup of the free agency, and that's not to say people haven't been talking about it.
No.
But to get that guy on that contract, and he helps out your team so much on the defensive side. Like you come up against Jokic and you put Gasol out there, that's it. Jokic.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he locked up Embiid last year.
Yeah.
He made Embiid, well, not single-handedly, but he pretty much was the lead contributor to Embiid going 0 for 11 in our first Raptors-Sixers matchup. So that was good.
To be honest, that's not hard.
Shade thrown.
Personally, I wouldn't lock up Joel
I'd love
Embiid.
to see that matchup.
Yeah.
That'd be a sick matchup.
As a 6'2" shooting guard myself,
yeah.
I am not.
On your team, you're a center, so don't hold yourself back.
That's true.
You should have the wherewithal to handle Embiid.
That's true, but I don't play defense. That's not my game.
Okay, so then Embiid's. Let's be honest. If you're defending him, Embiid might not go 0 for 11. He might go 2 for 11.
Yeah.
Or like 3 for 14 or something. He'll score, but you still got him.
I was thinking he might go like 20 for 40.
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
It's either
he'll be so shocked that he's always that wide open. It's like reverse.
Or he'll just be like, oh.
Yeah.
He'll just look down and be like, I can just shoot here.
I think that's Embiid's biggest problem, and I want to talk about Embiid later.
Okay.
But his biggest problem is he's happy to settle for a jumper, and I hate it.
I think that was a product. We should save this, but I think that's a product of Brett Brown. And the system they had.
Yeah. I hope it changes.
It will.
But let's go back to the topic because I could segue all day. But let's go back to the topic.
So just on the Lakers, we know they won like landslide. Pelinka, great job. I didn't have a lot of faith in him as a GM because he seems like a bit of a snake based on what's happened.
Yeah.
He's proven his worth. He's done really well.
Yeah.
They also have LeBron, who's a big draw, obviously.
Is he?
He's kind of the GM as well in a lot of ways. He'll call up Pelinka and be like, get rid of Kuzma. Get that blonde hair out of here.
I think he's already done that.
He probably has done that.
Yeah.
There's just, you got to find someone that wants Kuzma. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And then they also, they retained KCP. They also kept Morris. I think one of the funniest facts I found out this offseason was that Markieff Morris and his brother Marcus have a joint bank account. So the Clippers paid Markieff Morris $64 million. They share the money. So the Lakers get to keep one of the brothers, the one that fits better on the team anyway, as a role player. They kept him on a small contract for 1 year, but Markieff is getting part of Marcus's contract. Well, they're sharing the money. Did you know that?
I think I remember hearing it, but
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's insane. That is insane.
So the Morris twins are winning, and I am not a huge fan of them, especially Marcus. I think he's a punk. I would say that to his face. No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
I would lose my face.
He will at you. You watch out.
If you're watching Marcus, don't at me, bro.
We're already calling out NBA.
Don't
this is episode 1, and we're calling out NBA players.
Well, I mean, look what he did to Luka Doncic.
That was dog.
I love how everybody. It was. I love how everybody was saying at the time. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people were saying, "Oh, if this was the '90s, who gives a fuck? It's not the '90s.
It's not the '90s.
It's 2020."
Man, and this kid's 22.
And the dude basically took a swing. He basically hacked him around the neck and just was like, "You're not coming in the paint." I get it. You want to play physical defense. You want to be the intimidator, so to speak. But
I think
you can
be an intimidator in a different way. You only need to watch Jimmy Butler play the way that Jimmy Butler does to see an intimidator.
I agree.
Actually, do his job without trying to hurt someone.
Yeah.
Like this, I can call back an example where Chris Paul was trying to get under Duncan's skin.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he threw a ball at Duncan, and
I missed that clip.
Duncan kind of just laughed at it and walked away, but Jimmy took note, and the next time down the court just barreled straight into his chest. And
Jimmy doesn't mess around.
And he just took the foul. He was just like, no, he needs to know that you can't mess around with my shooters.
Don't mess around with my young guys.
Yeah,
exactly, young shooters.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically that was my winner because obviously they got all the good guys, but they also managed to. Well, Markieff Morris is kind of more the winner than the Lakers in that regard because of the money thing.
Yeah,
that's just a funny fact about the offseason. Okay, so who is your winner?
I have my personal,
Miami Heat?
favorite Miami Heat.
Okay.
Winning this free agency, and that's only because they were able to hold on to guys, and I think that this is a really interesting offseason for Miami. You've paid a lot of guys on big 1-year contracts in the hope that you land Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't land Giannis, then I still think the core there, we've just seen it. Like,
it's killer core.
We just saw them make it to the finals, and people thought it was a fluke. I watched them all season. I thought that they were going to be there or thereabouts at the start of the season.
I slept on them, I'm not going to lie. I took a long nap on Miami.
A lot of people did. And I think it's only when they come up against your team and your team is ahead by 20 and then they run them down, that's when you go, oh, these guys are for real.
Yeah, you got to pay attention.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But look, they picked up, they kept Dragic, they kept Myers Leonard. I think Myers Leonard is somewhat underrated. His shooting ability is, unquestionably good.
He's a good teammate as well.
He is great
He'll
teammate.
clap for everybody. Most claps for 48.
Yeah.
Myers Leonard.
Yeah. His per 36 clapping numbers are off the charts.
Even better. Yeah.
But yeah, he's a guy that is good to have in the locker room. And they also held on to UD, who's another locker room guy.
Yep.
So, the moves aren't
flashy.
Jump off the page.
They kept the core.
They kept the core.
Right back.
That's why I had them as winners. And I think bringing in guys like Mo Harkless and Avery Bradley are good moves on cheap contracts.
They still got Iguodala, right?
They still have Iggy. Yeah.
So good defensive team.
Great defensive team. They lost Jay Crowder and Derek Jones. They were both on bigger contracts. They didn't really mind. I think they offered Jay Crowder a big bag for 1 year.
Yep.
Instead, he took the smaller bag over multiple years.
More money, probably, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's...
or just more guaranteed.
Yeah, 30 over 3.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think with Miami, they were looking at 15-1. So...
Okay, that's fair.
I don't know which one you'd rather take.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the 30 mil is better. But yeah, look, he is a loss. But yeah, look, Avery Bradley is a former all-defensive player. You get him on a veteran's minimum. He is way too good for that kind of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, his switchability, he can play on ball, he can play off ball. He is an average shooter, but where he impacts the court the most is on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think Avery Bradley is one of those guys that if you put him on the right team, he'll flourish. He was pretty good in the Celtics system.
Yeah.
Then you put him next to LeBron, and LeBron's going to get him endless open shots.
Yeah.
He's a really good cutter off the ball. He's going to fit well into Miami's system because they predicate on ball movement.
It's lots of movement, yeah.
Oh, man, crazy amount.
Yeah.
And just like basically create chaos with Duncan out there and Butler just kind of doing his thing.
It's actually an interesting fact about Duncan.
Go on.
Of all of the Miami players, he has the best plus-minus on court. And he is not a good defender.
No.
He is...
He's okay.
I would say he's below average.
Probably.
Yeah, I'd say he's a below average defender. That in the playoffs, he really went to another level.
Yeah.
But through the season, he was a below average defender. But yeah, his plus minus, when he is on the court, the amount of attention that he draws from the defense is it's unmeasurable, man.
Curry-esque.
Yeah, you're
gravity.
Probably right. He just
a lot of gravity.
Everyone is watching where Duncan's going, and that's when you get guys like Bam just open looks just straight through the middle.
So. And or even like slipping a handoff and just driving to the rim. They did a lot of that.
Which is why a guy like Avery Bradley's great to have on the roster, because he's someone that can pick up on those kinds of things. Yeah. If his defender is looking for where Duncan is, that's Avery.
I honestly, Miami is not a bad pick for the winner either.
Yeah.
I think I should have, in hindsight, I probably should have gone with a different team. The Lakers are
they needed to be mentioned. If you didn't do it, I would have talked about their pickups because.
Yeah. We could have just been like, look, the Lakers won, but here's our other pick.
Yeah.
That's probably how we could have done it.
Yeah, you're right.
But I was actually thinking my other team that won might have been the Suns based on their improvement, because I like Chris Paul. I'm just going to make this one brief.
That's a trade.
No, so just in terms of what they did in the offseason,
okay.
Free agent-wise, they re-signed Saric, who I like, one of my favorite players, underrated role guy.
Yeah.
They got Crowder.
Yep.
And off the top of my head, they had a couple other moves that were good.
I do think getting defense on that team is very important.
Yeah.
That's something that they needed to do. I think they got DJ as well. No, DJ went to Portland. Sorry.
Let me see. So they got E'Twaun Moore is a good pickup.
Yeah. Langston
Galloway's all right.
Shooter.
They also got Damian Jones as a backup center. I don't really care for him that much, but I just like that they got Chris Paul to run the offense.
Yeah, I just think their off-season moves is what we need to look at. And as an off-season, Phoenix have to be one of the winners.
One of the top 5 winners to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks losing. Like, I thought Rubio was a good fit for them, and Oubre broke out last season. But they'll be okay with that. The Michael Bridges is going to get more minutes. Cam Johnson's a sniper.
Yeah.
They got Abdel Nader as well, who I kind of like. He's not the most mind-blowing player, but they have a good roster now.
Yeah.
Good professional team. DeAndre Ayton's probably going to have a big season. I can see with Chris Paul lobbing him some sort of DeAndre Jordan-esque type stuff.
As long as they let him shoot. I think that's the biggest thing with DeAndre. He's been told not to shoot.
Is that right?
Yeah. So an article came out. I don't remember who wrote it. You probably should just check that. Just Google DeAndre Ayton shooting. But yeah, they told him not to shoot. He's supposed to get to
jump shots.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's supposed to get to the basket.
Because I remember in college he was he was stretch 5 type of guy. Yeah, he didn't shoot like a ton, but
he can shoot the three.
Absolutely.
And that's something that you need to have on your roster, especially, to have one guy that doesn't, and then to have 4 guys that do is a good roster.
Yeah.
He needs to be one of the guys that shoots more.
That's fair.
At least draw teams out of the paint. That's the main thing.
Yeah. So those are the winners. We'll go on to the losers now. We already mentioned them a little bit. They actually just made another move the other day. Doesn't move where they are in the loser category. The Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
Big effing losers. I almost dropped an epic F-bomb there. Because it's so disappointing what they did. They didn't make any moves.
I have the exact same loser.
Oh.
Props
to that.
The
Bulls,
exact same loser.
I don't know if it's the GM just sort of getting his footing, but that team didn't do anything of note. They have a lot of guys that are just sort of like whatever.
They re-signed non-contributors. They re-signed Denzel Valentine.
Yes. They didn't do much.
How long are you gonna keep these guys who are below average NBA players on good contracts, good NBA contracts, when you've got guys in free agency who are potentially much, much better quality players?
I couldn't agree more. And they the big moves they did. So their biggest moves were signing Garrett Temple and Noah Vonleh.
I had the same thing.
It's an embarrassing offseason.
That is very embarrassing. And losing your 2 best defensive players, like Shaq Harrison, who I think is a very underrated defensive player. He's a guy that can go out there, guard pretty much 1 through 4. His switchability's there. He's a guy you can kind of fit into any system. Offensively, he has a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
But I think that's a guy that you would hold on to for his defensive ability. And letting Dunn walk is also questionable.
Hurt your defense.
I think you've got trade partners there for him last season. And if you're going to let him walk away at the end of the season for nothing, what are we doing?
What are we doing exactly? I just think the team have a fair amount of decent assets, and it's hard to part ways with guys that you kind of like for the future. They might, I think a lot of teams get stuck going, we shouldn't let go of this guy because another team is going to get him and he's going to be good. We need to make him good, like Markkanen.
Yeah.
A guy like Kobe White's young.
Yeah.
But then Levine apparently was in trade rumors. And there wasn't necessarily a lot of interest, or they may not have found the good.
See, I don't like that
return.
either. I think Levine's a guy you'd want to hold on to.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I like Levine's offensive game. I think if you put the right guys around him, he is a potentially very, very, very good scorer of the ball.
He's a highlight reel for sure.
Yeah, and I think his shooting has come a long way. His passing game has come a long way.
Yeah.
So a guy like that is potentially, someone to build around.
Fair enough, yeah. I don't think, I just would have liked to see them, the team is trying to build around the pieces they have, and it's not working very well. They got a new coach.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see them just sort of at least do a semi-blow-up, if not a full blow-up. There's still time. They might still move some guys. Yeah. I think Markkanen or Carter are major trade candidates.
Yeah.
To be a piece in a big move, maybe even with Levine.
I would have thought.
I didn't like the direction of the team.
I would have thought they would have done that before free agency.
Yeah.
I would have thought they would have done that to clear cap space, to go into the season as, by far the worst team in the NBA.
Something like that, yeah.
And then, hope that you land one of the top guys. This next draft is huge. 1 through 7, potentially, NBA All-Stars. This is going to be a very good draft. And you've done nothing for your roster. You're coming off back-to-back 22-win seasons.
Ugly. Bad coaching, bad everything.
Yeah.
It's hard to generate interest with that type of performance.
The guys that are available, you've got guys like Josh Jackson who, it's Josh Jackson. He was taken. But that's a guy you would think the Bulls would take a flyer on.
Yeah.
Detroit gave him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have liked to have seen the Bulls do more in that space, especially signing Garrett Temple for $5 million. You've got the cap space there to potentially sign guys that, may break out.
Absolutely.
I think Josh Jackson's done, but I think that guys like that at that age are better for your roster than having a guy like Garrett Temple, especially knowing you're going to finish right at the bottom.
Yeah. Josh Jackson, it's still early to say he's done. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I would say on the right, if
it's 3 teams now though.
Yeah. If you put him on the right system, I think it's similar to I'm hoping for Wiggins to become something of a number 1 pick in Golden State, but
yeah, we'll see how that one.
Josh Jackson, he's got to step it up a bit.
Yeah.
So that was the losers. You had the Bulls, so there's not much else to say on that one.
No.
The roster's a mess. I mean, just put it that way. Again, like I said, I think they were trying to trade Levine. They didn't really feel like there was enough return for him, which is fair enough. You're going to want to bargain a little bit when you have a talent like that. You like him to build around? I don't. I don't like the direction of the team. I think they should blow it up.
Okay.
Keep a guy like Williams. Keep a guy like Markkanen because you want to stretch guys, stretch forwards. Kobe White, I'm not fussed on at all.
I'll get into Kobe White. I have some notes on Kobe.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I think they are waiting for the next off-season when there's guys that are off contract that can be big free agents. Kawhi's off contract.
Yeah.
Giannis, who I don't think they're landing.
Yeah, imagine that.
But the other thing too, Anthony Davis could sign a 1-year deal. That he could go out with the Lakers, win another chip, and then decide to go home to Chicago. So I think that could be where the Bulls are aiming.
That's true, actually.
That could be where the Bulls are aiming. And who knows what could happen in a year. I mean, over a year ago now, no one thought that we'd see Paul George and Kawhi on the Clippers.
No,
so
you're right. Anything can happen.
happen.
Although I do think we overrate the hometown thing. There was a lot of buzz when Durant was a free agent. He would go to Washington. I was like, no.
It's never going to happen.
That sort of thing definitely gets overrated.
Even Steph going to Charlotte.
No. Charlotte, that's another topic.
That gets talked about way too much, Charlotte fans. It's not going to happen.
It ain't happening, unfortunately. I'd love to see him there.
I would too, man.
He would bring a lot of excitement to the team.
It'd be great for the game. It'd be great to see him back up, but it's not happening. They've been a basket case for years. Anyway,
And another thing just even on that topic, you have Hayward and the Pacers. That's a special situation we'll talk about afterwards. But the only team where you actually see hometown affecting or that area, not necessarily a hometown, but the West Coast is LA. Yeah. Guys love to go to LA for obvious reasons.
It's just the
beautiful place. and endorsements, Hollywood, etc.
It's the money.
That's the only place where it's like, yeah, hometown, I can see it. Yeah. Charlotte, Indiana, Washington, all these other teams, it's not happening.
Well, small market teams that
yeah.
No one's going to go back there unless they have to.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So now we're going to go on to the biggest meh, the biggest whatever.
Mine's a hot take.
Okay. Mine's a little bit hot as well. Go on.
You got a hottie?
Yeah, I got a hot. Do you want to start?
I'll start.
Spice it up.
I have Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's pretty meh.
Atlanta made a lot of moves, and I think that's what people have been blindsided by. I think that people think that if you have a lot of contracts, then you're doing good.
So quantity, not quality.
Man, I don't understand what Atlanta were trying to accomplish this offseason.
Okay, elaborate.
You have a number of players at the 4. You haven't decided what you're going to do with John Collins yet. Right. We haven't even seen Clint Capella play.
That's true.
With Atlanta.
0 games.
0 games.
And he's been out. Well, he hasn't played, presumably, a pickup. Well, maybe he's played pickup, but he hasn't played basketball in like over a year.
Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah.
Maybe not a year, but it's been a while.
It has been a while, and especially with COVID and everything.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to have to bleep that out, but you know the word. He's come now to the point where guys may have forgotten what Clint Capella is. He was a guy that played really well with James Harden because of his pick and roll ability.
System.
But are you going to get the same production out of him with Trae Young and with guys that aren't stretching the floor?
Okay. We're going to disagree because Atlanta improved, in my opinion. They're not perfect. They're definitely not perfect.
Look, man, I agree. That's what I agree that they improved. Okay. I agree that they got better players on the roster.
Right.
But I don't think it's as good as people are saying.
You might be right. They might be overrating it.
Yeah.
I don't know who, like, some people might be overrating. I think Gallinari got overpaid.
Well, you've got a young core there too. That's the most frustrating thing for me as an NBA fan. You get to see guys like DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish. Like Cam Reddish had a very bad rookie season. Just call it what it is.
Yeah.
It was not a good rookie season.
His highlight was probably dunking on Tyler Hero.
It was. It was. I watched
That's
that
what
game.
I remember.
He was impressive in that game.
Yeah.
He didn't hit it. I think he hit his first 3 in that game too.
Okay.
And that was like the 5th game of the season. So, look, he had a poor NBA season, a bad rookie NBA season. But now you're taking minutes away to give it to guys like Gallinari.
Yeah, I think they're trying to win because the whole thing with last season was Trae Young needed help. We're going to get help for Trae. The GM had a conversation with them.
Yep.
So they're trying to go out and they're trying to get professionals because the young core is fairly good. I like DeAndre Hunter. I think Cam Reddish has a high ceiling at this stage. He's just finished a rookie year. So it's too early to say anything about him. And they also have Herter, who's really good, like potential 6-man. But then, you pick up Rondo, Gallinari. I liked what they did. I wouldn't have said meh. Definitely wouldn't say they were a winner, but they were one of the better teams in the free agency.
Look, putting it like that, yes, they were one of the better ones. But I couldn't pick a team that made no moves and did nothing as a meh. Like I had to pick someone that did stuff that I wasn't happy with.
That's
personally,
fair.
Me. Like you guys can be as happy as you want about these moves, but
good for Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly. Great for Atlanta. And I think that adding a guy like Gallinari on a contract like that at his age is a worry. He's 32.
Yeah.
And
he has a history of health problems too.
Correct. Yeah. His perimeter defense leaves a lot to be desired. And looking at playing him at the 4. He is a 4. He's not a 3.
Definitely.
Playing him at the 3, having him guard potentially the opposition's best player in most cases, he's not going to do that.
Well, I read a thing that he might come off the bench, which is a high. Again, we talked about Bertans earlier.
A lot of money to pay a guy off the bench.
I don't like that.
A lot of money to pay a guy off the bench.
If he's willing to sit down on the bench and be 6-man, that's cool.
Yeah.
But because they were thinking, I think, of starting Trae Young, probably Herter.
I'd play Hunter.
Or Hunter, and then Bogdanovich.
Yeah.
That might be their starting line. And then you have Collins and Capella. So they have good players. They weren't the the winner per se, but I get what you're saying. A bit meh from your point of view.
I think they got better, but it concerns me that you're taking minutes away from guys that
young guys
you've just invested in, and you're giving them to big contracts, potentially. Yeah, you're trying to win now, but at what cost long term?
Fair enough. Yeah.
That's the big meh thing for me is taking those minutes away from guys like DeAndre Hunter.
Okay.
Yeah. Who I really like, by the way. I really like DeAndre.
Yeah, he's all right. He's I think eventually they're gonna have to pick between Reddish and Hunter, or maybe Reddish, Hunter, and Herter.
You can play both, but you can't have all three.
Eventually, you're gonna have to pay one of them.
Yeah.
Or trade.
Yeah.
So okay, that was your meh. I've got the Rockets.
Ooh.
They had their hands tied a little bit with massive contracts. Westbrook and Harden combining for almost $100 million is redonkulous.
Yeah.
So I had them as a meh because I thought they were gonna do a little bit more. Again, I can't say that their money situation was amazing.
Yeah.
They picked up Christian Wood, who I like, and they picked up DeMarcus Cousins. I don't like at this stage. I used to love him. I think he was a great player in Sacramento despite his attitude issues.
Yeah.
I think, maybe winning a ring with the Lakers might have sharpened him up a little bit. I doubt it, but that's...
Is he even eligible for a ring?
I think he is. I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
I've always wondered that.
I think it's at the wners' discretion.
Is it at the owner's discretion?
Yeah, I think the owner decides who gets a ring and who doesn't.
Well,
because I remember when Dion was traded, and there was all this talk about either team winning, he could get a ring, and Pat Riley came out and said he will not be getting a ring.
Well, okay, fair enough. Yeah,
look,
I mean,
Pat
those
Riley
teddy
might
bears,
be a different guy. Like he might just he is the godfather. He is.
He's built different.
Oh
guy.
yeah. But I just think that, man, I like Deco. I really like DeMarcus Cousins, and that's a guy that's still young by NBA standards.
He is,
especially with guys now pushing late 30s and still performing. LeBron, to name names.
If he, he's 30 years old. Okay, so he's not too bad. He's approaching the other side of the hill, but he's not there yet.
He should be in his prime as a center.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. That's fair. I just didn't like the moves they made. They also got it's not that I didn't like them. I just didn't love them, and they to me fit the description of a meh. They picked up Sterling Brown. It's like I look at it because every team has different context to look at the off season and trades and free agency. Mm-hmm. If you're Russell Westbrook and James Harden, you got to be going, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Like they might be. Well, James Harden's probably on his way out, most likely, if they can find a suitor.
I don't know that they trade them.
No, I don't know if you do trade them, but I think they will.
Yeah.
Like if I was the GM, it's a tough position to be in.
Yeah.
The best two guys on your team are a little bit unsettled about what's happening.
Yeah.
And then you go out and Christian Wood is a good piece to have. I just don't know if that works out for them.
I love that pickup.
Okay.
I really like Christian Wood.
I like him a lot.
I think that leaves a lot more for Detroit than it does for Houston. I think that Detroit letting him go to pick up a guy like Jeremy Grant. I could have put Detroit in there 4 or 5 times as losers over and over and over again. I don't understand what they did, and I don't know why they did it. There's nothing I can really say.
Speechless.
I'm just absolutely speechless.
Lost for words.
English
fails you.
Made an absolute mess of free agency. And I feel so sorry for Derrick Rose.
And Blake for that matter. But Derrick Rose especially, he deserves better, man.
But back to Christian Wood, this is a guy that on the court for Detroit was their best player night in, night out.
Plus minus machine, right?
Plus minus, he is top 3 for power forwards.
Last season?
That is just behind Giannis and Jason Tatum. So this guy impacted winning, and that is the biggest measurable that you can have for a basketball player.
I see you got the list there, and I'm surprised. So it's Giannis, Tatum, Christian Wood. Number 4, Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah. I thought Luka would have been somewhere on there.
This is only power forwards.
Oh.
Yeah. So if I go all, Luka's got to be up there, right? Yeah, man. Top 10.
We'll cut that clip out because that was foolish.
No, I'm going to let that slide. I shall.
This is why I need to get in on the editing. This guy can't do all the editing.
I can.
So the next thing on the docket might be to discuss Hayward a little bit. I don't want to get too crazy, but it's a crazy part of the offseason.
I really want to get into it because I love Gordon Hayward.
So do I.
I absolutely love this move for Charlotte. There's no one else that they could have landed that will do more for their roster. He's a guy that can be the leader straight away. There's no one else there that's going to stand in his way.
That's true.
He's the number one guy. He goes from being number 4 in Boston to number 1 at Charlotte, which instantly means more production, and he was already productive in Boston.
Yeah, he was a little bit sandwiched in there with, he's got Tatum and Brown, who are likely going to be the future. Well, they are the future of the Celtics, and then bring in Kemba.
Yeah.
It's a lot of shots to spread around.
Yeah.
It's not easy for Brad Stevens.
Yeah.
And the original signing of Hayward I liked. Brad Stevens obviously was his college coach, and he's one of the best coaches in the league. I thought they were going to make it work. If you want another episode just to talk about how the Celtics didn't do anything, despite the fact they brought in one of the nicest looking rosters I've seen in a long time. But a lot of things factored into that, probably mostly Kyrie talking about the flat earth in the locker room.
Yeah.
But so Hayward on the Hornets, he got 4 years, $120 million, fully guaranteed, which is pretty crazy.
It's a lot of money.
But if you're thinking about the player and not the money, I do like the fit.
Yeah.
I really do. Because they need maturity.
Yep.
They need, I want to say solidity, but I don't know if he's going to stay healthy.
Yeah.
They need a guy that LaMelo might be able to turn to be like asking questions and how can I do this, this, and that. As the lead guy, as the ball handler, the creator, LaMelo can learn a lot from Hayward in addition to the rest of the roster.
Yep.
At this stage, maybe not from Terry Rozier, not my favorite guy.
I think it's
a bunch of young guys.
It's really important to put Gordon Hayward's contract into perspective. You've got guys that are being paid over $30 million. He is not the only player in the NBA earning over $30 million, and that's the thing that's really annoying me personally on Twitter.
Okay.
Of all places, is people calling out this signing before anything has happened this season.
That's true.
I think this is a guy that instantly will impact winning for the Hornets. And I'll keep going back to impacting winning because that is the only statistic that matters. Is if you are winning games, doesn't matter who's out there on the court. If they are helping you win, that's who you play.
That's fair.
And I think instantly that's a guy that's going to come out and win games for you. And he's being paid less than Mike Conley. I could go on. Tobias Harris, Chris Middleton. He's probably on the same amount of money as Dame, although Dame next year is going to be on $43 million.
54 in 2023.
Yeah.
Which is nutso.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying. I think Hayward, look, $120 million guaranteed for a guy who's just had a string of injuries is not amazing.
Yeah.
You don't want to see that number ideally. I think a good point someone brought up a couple seasons ago on a podcast. They were talking about how the contracts are starting to blow up.
Yeah.
And a good way to look at it is if you cut the contract in half, that's kind of what it should look like. It's just that the numbers are inflated.
Yeah.
So a guy like Hayward would you say $15 million is fair?
Honestly, going into free agency, I thought, especially after he declined his contract, I did think that was the contract he'd receive.
Yeah.
But I don't think that he's overpaid at Charlotte. I think that they're paying what they needed to pay to get a good locker room guy in. Okay. Like, you've got a very, very young core in Charlotte. You've just bought one of the most enigmatic draftees probably of all time.
One of them.
Well, next to Lonzo, but
LaMelo's is like 10 times crazier than Lonzo in that regard.
Well, he's already a superstar. Like,
yeah,
he couldn't go anywhere when he was playing in Sydney. He couldn't go where everyone recognized him, and that's a difficult thing to do before you've played an NBA game. But everyone knows who LaMelo Ball is.
That's true.
You're bringing in Gordon Hayward, who has faced a lot of adversity in his career. He had one All-Star season, and then he was paid an absolute bomb by Boston. And he's coming to a small market team that had to overpay to get a guy in there that can help straight away.
That's what keeps coming up. Yeah, they had to overpay to get somebody. I understand.
Yeah.
With that, I think he's I think he's gonna be a good player for them. The money is never gonna be a happy number, but I see what you're saying about that. They needed to pay, like they're paying a fair amount for the guy. That's all right.
Yep.
So that was just the Hayward segment.
All right, so let's look at some off-season moves. We'll just fire through these, just some of the things that teams did, whether we like them or don't like them. Let's start with Drew Holiday to the Bucks.
Can I say properly rated? I don't think it was either over or under. Maybe a little bit overrated.
I think it was an overrated move, and I think they overpaid to get him.
Okay.
Especially without Giannis being locked in. That's a worry.
That's fair.
Yep.
I think the reason they made the move is because I do think it improves them. I don't think it makes them like an outstanding. I don't think they're necessarily better than the Lakers now.
You can't improve your defense when you were the number one defense in the NBA.
But you can improve the position that they changed from Eric Bledsoe to Drew Holiday.
Yeah, you can. Yes.
Eric Bledsoe is one of my least favorite players in the league, hands down. And
I'm clipping that.
Again, that would be a good soundbite.
Yeah.
I think Drew Holiday is a marketed improvement over Eric Bledsoe.
Yes.
Professionalism.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday's defense, all the NBA players agree he's probably the best perimeter defensive player in the league.
Yeah.
And he's a good point guard. He's a good leader for the team. He'll fit well next to Middleton and Giannis. And I think they're running it back the same way they did, with the spread the floor, shoot threes. But Drew gives them a little bit more of it gives them a boost of that position.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll say a slight overrate.
Okay. I'm saying it's an overrated move. All right, let's
Simple.
go. Brandon Ingram stays on the max.
He had a good season, really good season actually. He won Most Improved Player, so that's saying something. You had to pay him.
Should have been Bam.
I disagree. I think it should have. I think Ingram was a deserving winner.
Yeah, okay.
Although
I'm not going to take it away from him. He was improved.
You can argue a few different players, and Bam was deserving of winning as well.
Devontae Graham, that's another good one.
Yeah,
but yeah,
he
anyway,
jumped.
Yeah, I like the move. I think it's an underrated move.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think that the money aside, you need to keep him in New Orleans.
Keep him, run him next to Zion.
Jeremy Grant.
Way overrated. the overrated move of the offseason.
I 100% agree with that. This is a guy that takes, 90% of his shots, over 90% of his shots are catch and shoot.
Spot up shooting.
He cannot create his own shot. He's good in transition and he's switchable on defense. But the amount of guys in the NBA now that can do that, he was overpaid. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Chris Paul to the Suns.
Okay, so I'll say overrated. I love one of my favorite players of all time by far, but I think it's overrated.
Okay.
Just in the context of like how much they think the team's improved and what have you, I think they've been improved.
Okay.
But if I had to pick either overrated or underrated, it's definitely not underrated. I would say in this context, overrated.
I am going to throw out there that this is underrated.
Okay.
He impacts winning the most out of any point guard in the NBA.
Arguably, yeah.
No, not arguably. The statistics say.
Okay.
He is the
I could give
guy.
you Ben Simmons. Simmons impacts winning.
No.
What stat are you using?
I'm looking at plus minus. The numbers on the court.
My man Lowry, right behind him, Chris Paul at number 2.
He has impacted winning more than any other player at point guard. His offensive plus minus is through the roof, and defensively, like he's not going to put a foot wrong.
That's true. He's one of the best defensive players.
Straight away, putting him next to Devin Booker is going to make Devin Booker a better player. Yeah. So I think it's an underrated move.
I'll say it's slightly overrated. Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Austin Rivers going to the Knicks.
I love this move.
Overrated, big time. I don't love Austin Rivers at all.
Okay.
He's a good player.
Okay.
Like I think he gets the stigma. I don't want to delve into this too much. I think he gets the stigma of being Doc's son.
Yep.
And so people think he's privileged, silver spoon, got into the league because of his dad.
Yeah.
He's had some good moments in the league. I think he was a good fit on Houston.
Yeah.
I don't think the Knicks are a good fit for him. I think that's an overrated move.
I think it's underrated. I think this is a low risk, high reward type of move for the Knicks. I think that they can get some trade assets out of it. Halfway through the season, there's a guy that's a guy that a lot of teams could use to come off the bench and play, that 6-man position, come in and play point guard and do a really good job of it.
So you're looking at him as an asset?
Yeah.
More so than a fit on the Knicks?
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm looking at him as a guy that can go out with the Knicks who, we've already said that's not a good roster. He's going to go out there and average some good numbers, and then he'll increase the stock, and it's a good move for the Knicks.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you mean now.
He's cheap.
Yeah, he is
They
cheap.
bought him in cheap, and he could go out there and average a fair amount of points, fair amount of assists, and put up good numbers and end up on a better team.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you were saying.
Yeah.
Next was Seth Curry to the Sixers. Love it.
Yep.
Beautiful move.
Agreed.
Sixers need spacing. I'll say underrated.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the most underrated moves of the offseason.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because they had Shake Milton. So the Sixers tried to move Ben Simmons to power forward for a chunk of the season. Again, this is a whole other topic, but I don't like the idea of point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center anymore.
Yeah, I don't think it exists.
It does. I think Brad Stevens put it well. There's ball handlers, wings, and bigs.
Yes.
So you have 3 positions. You can be a hybrid of some of them.
Yeah.
You could be Bam Adebayo and essentially be all of them.
Yeah.
But the fact that Curry is replacing back to my point, Ben Simmons was being put into a big man role, although he's still technically the point guard because he's the floor
primary
facilitator.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Seth Curry and Danny Green also on that team. Great floor spacing for Embiid and Simmons to just wreak havoc. I love that move.
Yeah, I love it too.
I love Seth Curry.
I have nothing to add to that. The guy's a knockdown shooter.
Sniper.
He's a great shooter.
He's got it in his blood.
And he can handle the ball. That's something that the Sixers needed as well. Someone outside of Ben Simmons.
Yeah, no doubt.
So yeah, Jay Rich to the Mavs.
Well, same trade. I like that for
I like the
Dallas.
defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
I think having a guy next to Luka that can actually defend that well, that's a good move for the Mavs.
Defend ball handlers and some wings, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a great move for the Mavs. It's a good fit for the Mavs as well.
Yep.
Both teams are happy. It's
he
one of those rare
shoot
trades.
Well at the Sixers.
That's the thing. I think his value was skewed a bit by that team.
Brett Brown.
Yeah, Brett Brown.
Brett Brown.
Definitely is a factor in that. I think you can probably attest to the value Jay Rich actually has, given his Heat seasons.
Yeah, that guy,
good player.
Defensively is
stud.
Lockdown, man.
Yeah, he's really good.
A great defender.
Next, we had Horford in OKC. I mean, I don't know really what to make of OKC. They're just kind of. It seems like they're rebuilding.
Move?
What was that?
You just think it's a meh,
It's kind of meh.
Yeah.
Not even properly. I would say underrated, if anything, because I think he might get back to playing a little bit better than he did.
Yeah, I think a product of Brett Brown.
Poor Brett.
Yeah, he came from averaging really, really good numbers and really impacting winning at the Celtics.
Absolutely, one of the best. One of the advanced metrics loved him in Boston.
Yeah.
And then he fell off a cliff in Philly for Brett Brown.
Brett Brown and Joel Embiid. It just wasn't a good fit. It wasn't a good fit, and I think this is a good move for OKC. Increase his value, possibly get him back out on the trade market, and
that he'll be traded for sure.
Yeah.
Next, we had Lakers adding Schroeder.
We kind of touched on it.
Yeah, I mean, we can just quickly snap it. I would say slightly overrated.
Yeah.
Slightly. Maybe
I'd say
not
it's
a lot.
meh. It just is. He's a good player.
Yeah, he's really good.
I don't think it's anything to really jump off the page. It's meh.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of buzz about it because he was the replacement for Rondo, and it's the Lakers. They're the most popular franchise in the league.
Yeah.
Slightly overrated.
Yeah. Okay.
Next, we had Harrell, also with the Lakers. I would say, because it's the Lakers again, they got a lot of flashy.
I'm just gonna say it's overrated.
It's overrated.
It's an overrated move.
He's not he doesn't make or break a championship team.
No.
They're already a championship team.
Yeah.
Even if they had picked up
and I think the personality
Cousins.
side of things too could be potentially a bit of a distraction.
Ooh. I didn't look at it like that.
Yeah, having guys they've just removed Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee and who else did they get rid of? Rondo is another locker room
It's a lot
guy.
of headaches.
That there are a lot of big personality guys that demand a lot of the ball, and you bring in another one. Like,
that's fair.
He wasn't happy at the Clippers. I think he had a lot of issues with Paul George, especially after their finals run. There were a couple of articles. He couldn't make a shot.
No, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paul George was a disaster.
That was a mess. We'll touch on that later because anyway. But yeah, I think it's an overrated move. That's overrated.
100% agreed. Next we had Toronto adding Aaron Baines.
Underrated.
Yes, underrated.
Underrated.
He's not Marcus Gasol. He's not Serge Ibaka.
Yep.
But I do like Aaron Baines. I think he's going to fit well in Nick Nurse's system.
It is a good fit. He can pass the ball. He can operate out of the center. He stretches the floor.
Massive guy.
Yeah, and he's a big guy. He's an intimidating presence on the court.
Yeah. Shout out to the late Tommy Heinsohn, who passed away recently.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah. He loved Aaron Baines' size. He alluded to Baines looking phenomenal in the shower. So thanks for Heinsohn.
Yeah.
Pointing that out.
Yeah.
Toronto gets that type of physicality now, so that's cool.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Cousins joining the Rockets.
I'm going to look at this from a value point of view because I know you don't like the move.
Just as it's a meh.
Yeah. I think from a value point of view, it's an underrated move. Getting a guy on a small contract who could potentially, increase his value at the.
You might say low risk, high reward.
Again, yeah. It is a low risk, high reward.
That's
move.
True.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you that.
I like it. Yeah.
I'm just meh.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's fine. So let's move on to the season previews. So
okay.
We ripped through that pretty quick.
Yeah.
But let's move on to season previews and I want to hear who you think will win the MVP.
Okay. So you're not allowed.
I'm not looking. I didn't look.
Okay. We'll start with MVP. I got Luka. My man Luka is winning MVP this season.
I've got it.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I kind of ruminated on it. I thought Anthony Davis was a good pick as well, because I think he's going to step out. I think, there's rumors that the Lakers are going to chill out a bit to start the season because they just came off the playoffs and winning.
Yeah.
I thought about Davis. I also thought about Giannis for a third time, but I think there's going to be some voter fatigue there.
Yeah.
So
I think the other my dark horse would be Steph.
Yeah. Steph is the guy you don't want to doubt because he's a dangerous player. Former unanimous MVP, as everyone knows. One of the most exciting players in the league. Golden State is going to get back in the playoffs, I think. But I think Luka is going to take an MVP step forward. Yeah. It might be his season.
Agreed. All right. What do you got next?
Most improved player. I'm going to go with Tyler Hero.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I might be overrating him.
My boy.
Either him or Bam. I'm going to say Bam takes another step forward and the voters like it.
Okay.
And he wins most improved.
Okay. I've put Gordon Hayward.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is he? I guess he would be eligible.
He's coming off a season where he averaged
14 or something, 12.
I think it was 15, but I could be wrong. Let's fact check ourselves here.
Yeah,
just
we're
not
good at
throw
that.
out numbers.
We're terrific at fact checking.
Yeah.
Just give us 10 minutes.
Yep.
You can go get a cup of coffee if you're listening.
Go get a tea, sit down.
Okay, so he averaged 17.
Yeah.
Which I was actually surprised by.
Yeah.
He had decent numbers
good
for what he was.
Good percentage, man. Good percentages and increasing those numbers and getting out to that kind of mid-30s sort of minutes. He should increase,
Okay.
And being the number one guy, that's the big thing. Like, I think he could go out there and be a triple-double threat, like with the way that he's been passing at Boston. Obviously, there's no shooters in Charlotte.
It's pretty scarce.
So he's the guy, but I think that might be enough to push Charlotte up.
You might be right.
Yeah.
I don't see him winning most improved. I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Like, so I said Tyler Hero first. I think he's a stud.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Bam, I'm going to change my pick officially. He's going to be Bam Adebayo.
Okay.
He's going to get the credit he deserves.
3-point shot, you reckon, this year?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
He's going to be a beast.
Yep.
I love Bam.
Yep.
Rookie of the year. I got Edwards. I just feel like he's going to have a lot of opportunity to put up numbers. I don't think he's necessarily going to be efficient.
Okay.
The T-Wolves aren't a great franchise right now, partly because I think they're going to fire their coach. That's another story.
Yeah.
I think they're going to move in a different direction.
Yeah.
But I think their system, they're shooting a lot of threes. It's high pace, pace and space.
Yeah.
So I can see him putting up like a 18-4-4 type of season and winning Rookie of the Year just based on his numbers. Not based on winning. They're going to win like 20 games in the whole season.
I think there's a lot of mouths in Minnesota. Like, there's a lot of people to feed.
True.
So I think his numbers could be affected by that. I can see him being more like a 12-point guy. And then, off the bench, they've just added Rubio again. So that's another guy that can come on and score some points for you and take away from those main guys. That's the reason I didn't pick Edwards. I also don't think Edwards is a good pick. But we've already been over that.
We've established that.
So I'm going to say LaMelo Ball. And that's only because Charlotte will be improved this year.
Yeah, most likely.
With Hayward and LaMelo. They don't really have any mouths to feed aside from those two. Possibly Graham. But yeah, like I think he'll get good numbers purely just being in Charlotte.
I'm going to do a hard disagree on that one.
Disagree.
I think they have a lot of mouths to feed as well. I think Hayward is a facilitator type of player. I think they're not going to ask a lot of Melo in his first season because they have, unless they trade Rozier and Graham and Hayward, those are 3 mouths to feed. And then, PJ Washington isn't necessarily a mouth to feed, but he's going to need the ball as well.
Yeah.
So I can see where you're coming from, but hard disagree.
Okay. I'll take it.
Next pick, we have Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious to hear who you've got. I've got Anthony Davis. He's going to take it for once. He's been getting credit. He makes all defensive teams. I think he was runner-up last season, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was Gobert.
Yeah.
Giannis, well-deserved.
Yeah.
But I love his defense. He's so versatile.
He was definitely top 3. I think he was runner-up.
Yeah. He's so versatile. He's just a great, smart player.
Yeah.
If he's not blocking your shot at the rim, he can block jump shots.
Yeah.
I remember when he was coming out of the draft, I was like, this guy's a freak on defense. Yeah. I think he's a 7'6" wingspan. So I got him for Defensive Player of the Year. I think he clears up a lot of mistakes. And I think his numbers are going to be bolstered by being beside Marc Gasol.
Yeah.
It's going to help him on defense as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. Yeah.
I think that's going to help.
I picked Bam.
My man Bam.
Yeah. I can see this season now he has a spotlight on him. I think that a lot of people are paying attention to what Bam Adebayo is doing.
When you just get in the finals?
Yeah, just got in the finals. He pulled off that spectacular block on Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will be watching what Bam does this year.
Yeah.
And that it almost always leads to awards. Like, it really does. If the media is watching you,
there might be 1 and 2. Like, Giannis is going to get more credit as well. Like, he's just a freak.
Yeah, but I think adding Drew Holiday, that people are instantly going to attribute defensive plays. Whether they're individual defensive plays, that's the thing. Like, the media pays more attention to these defensive guys.
Does.
Yeah, the blocking and the ability to get steals. So they just look at the box score.
Yeah.
Bam's a guy that can get a block a game, a couple of steals a game.
Yep.
So if that's all they're looking at, people are going to be looking at Bam.
Yeah, so, that's fair.
And he's a ridiculous defender. Like,
one of
aside
the most
from
versatile.
The box score, he is incredible.
He's almost like a good. Like, I thought he was going to impact how Anthony Davis played more in the finals. I'm not taking anything away from what Bam did. He was injured, obviously.
Yep.
Would have been a different story maybe for the finals if he was healthy.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys that is a really good pick to have defend Davis or LeBron.
Yeah.
Not that you're going to stop LeBron.
Yeah.
But you need to move your feet. You need to be able to contest a jump shot.
You could slow him down.
He's going to slow. He's going to put a body in front of him in the rim.
Yeah.
And make it difficult.
Well, you only need to look at what he did to Giannis.
Yes, that's true.
Took him out. Like, it wasn't just him. It was a team effort. But the plays that you saw where it was Bam on Giannis, you can see the kind of impact this guy has defensively and the way that he just impacts the way people shoot.
I've never seen someone recover. Well, I have. Like, Davis is similar, but his recovery speed and leaping ability is incredible.
Yeah, his speed off the floor is it's ridiculous.
Top 5 in the
really
league.
Is. Yeah.
Lastly, we had Executive of the Year.
Oh, I didn't even put that.
You didn't put that? Okay. Well, just take a guess. Well, sorry, not mine, but I've got... Okay, sorry, I'll let you go first. Just think of somebody.
Oh, man.
GM of the year, basically.
I mean, it's got to be Presti, doesn't it?
You like Presti?
Yeah.
Forgetting all the picks?
Yeah, just stocking up on draft picks.
I had Pelinka.
I knew you were going to say that. So
Easy
I
one.
To say Pelinka.
He's a runaway pick to me.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one even...
Yeah, it has to be for adding players. But I think if you look at the long-term viability of the franchise, OKC, they weren't doing anything. They didn't want to win. And you've got a couple of really good drafts coming up. So I think that they have done a really good job at piling up assets.
Yeah.
And now it's about what you do with them. You only need to look at Boston to see how that can be mishandled.
Exactly. They have so much...
Yeah, and that's a hot take, but I think Boston mishandled a lot of their picks.
Yeah. I don't think, like, just from an award standpoint, Presti is not going to win the award, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not a genius. I think Pelinka's going to win. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Unless the Lakers have a catastrophic season where they don't win anything and LeBron is injured and what have you.
Yeah.
The Executive of the Year award is only based on wins.
Yeah.
The Lakers are going to have wins.
Yeah.
Period.
I agree.
So next we're going to be talking about who's going to win the East and the West. Again, I'm going to turn my picks away.
I just want to go back to award predictions for a sec. And I want to talk about a player that I think is going to take a massive jump in his second year, who possibly won't deserve most improved player.
Okay.
I think from a fit point of view and from the opportunity point of view, it has to be Kobe White. I know you said you're not a huge fan.
He needs more opportunity.
He's a guy that was playing under Boylan, and that's something we need to put into perspective talking about Bulls players. He could come out this year and really put up some big numbers. He's a shooter. He can really shoot. And that's something that I don't think he showcased a lot of. There were a couple of games this year that he dropped 6 3-pointers.
I think he had 7 in one game, yeah.
Yeah. So
he's more shoot first, right?
He can pass. Like, he's the type of player that can make you question what he's going to do. I don't think he's one or the other. I think he's a crafty ball handler. He can create space for himself, and he can get guys open.
Yeah.
But again, he was playing in Boylan's system. So what kind of NBA player?
What can you make of it?
It could be anything that we get out of it.
I don't know what you make of it.
But yeah, I mean, he's coming off a season averaging 13.2 points off the bench. He only started one game. He was shooting okay, about 40%, 35% from three. And rebounds, he was getting 3.5. Assist numbers weren't there, but that's the point I'm trying to make here is he's now got a different coach.
Yeah.
He's going to get more opportunity. There's
Absolutely.
no one there in Chicago.
He should stand out from the pack. I do worry a little bit about playing with Levine. I don't think Levine's a good fit with him.
Yeah.
And then you have to they like to play Arcidiacono, and I mean they also got. Well, you're not going to share the ball with Temple that much, but playing next to Levine makes me question what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying. I can see Kobe taking a step up.
Yep. All right. I'm happy to move on now that I've given Kobe a shout out.
Got that off your back.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Next up. Who's winning it all? We're going to pick winners from both the East and the West. Just to let you know, I picked the winner of each conference and who they're going to beat in the conference finals.
I did the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I also picked the champs.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
You can lead us off.
I want to start in the West.
Go for it.
Because I think the West is a mess.
It's in a good way.
Yeah,
it's super competitive.
Yeah.
It is every year. People talk about parity. That's never going to happen, unfortunately.
No.
But the West is stacked.
Yes, it is stacked.
Ridiculously.
It is stacked.
So what do you got?
So I've got Dallas and Lakers.
Okay. Who's winning?
Oh, come on.
Mavericks. No. I had the Lakers over the Mavericks.
There you go.
West. Yeah.
Man, yeah.
The Mavs are
I
big.
really do think the Mavericks will be there and thereabouts. I think Luka's going to take a massive, massive step up this year. And that is hard to do off the season he just had.
Basically average a triple-double.
Yeah.
With 20, again, fact-checking geniuses we are, about 28, 29 points a game for most of the season.
I think it was 28. I think you were right.
He was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he's 21 years old.
Yeah.
Fact-check me if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Luka's going to have a monster season. Again, like you said, it's going to be hard to top what he did.
Yeah.
But he's just a special player. I've never seen a player as so young and so good. in my life. LeBron comes to mind when he was under 23 years old.
Yeah.
But even LeBron, I don't think was on this level.
It's just the way he does it, I think, is the most impressive part.
He controls the game.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
He makes it his, and he's very different to the way that Russ would get his triple doubles. And it actually affects the way that team wins and plays basketball.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have a tough run through the playoffs, but I really think that Luka is the guy to watch this season. I think he is, the standout performer already.
Yeah.
Before the season's even started, I think he's the guy.
Yeah. I mean, and if you wanted to talk about the run through the playoffs, you're exactly right. The Lakers aren't going to have too much trouble getting through to the conference finals at the very least.
Yeah.
The rest of the conference is going to be tricky. The Clippers, they pose a bit of a threat. I'm not confident they're going to do a lot, even though Kawhi is one of my favorite players. I just don't like the way they are.
Look, my hot take for the West, if you wanted to do that now too, would be that Phoenix are there and thereabouts in the top 4.
Yeah, I think I have. Let me just pull up. I've got like a whole season's predictions. I might have had.
That's my homer. That's like
Phoenix.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I have the Suns. Okay, I don't know if you give a shit or not. I've got my West top. I've got them all rated 1 through 15. I have Lakers, Nuggets, Mavericks, Clippers, Suns, Blazers, Warriors, Pelicans is the playoffs.
Okay.
The Jazz and the Rockets and the Grizzlies and the Spurs missing the playoffs. The Spurs, I'm writing them off immediately.
Okay.
But Pelicans number 8, they'll play the Lakers.
This Portland surprises me though.
Being so low?
Yeah.
Oh, we can talk about that.
No. I mean, being in there. Like,
you don't like them?
And leaving the Rockets out. Are you guessing that the Rockets trade?
I'm guessing the Rockets blow it up a bit.
Okay.
Like they do some blow up stuff, or they might get the most out of their value for Harden right now.
I worry about Portland in the play. I think Dame's one of my favorite players to watch, but defensively, you've got to be able to.
And McCollum.
Yeah. Like
not the biggest backcourt.
No, well, it's not a big backcourt, and defensively, they're just not good enough to kind of match. The other teams that are out there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, let's move on. Let's go to the East.
Okay. So my East picks were the Bucks winning over the Heat.
Oh, I'm glad you had the Heat in there. I'm not happy about that prediction, but I'm glad you had the Heat in
My other pick was the Bulls. But no, the Bucks are going to beat Miami.
Yeah.
I can see it going 7. It's really early to say something like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough series. I think the Bucks are going to have that sour taste in their mouth from last season.
Yep.
Miami's such a tough team to beat, but I think Milwaukee can do it.
Okay. I had Boston and Miami.
Wow.
I had a repeat.
See, there's a lot of... Did you have Boston over Miami or Miami over Boston?
No, I had Miami.
Oh.
I think it'll play out the same way that this final series did. I just think that Miami have a deeper roster.
They
but
do.
Boston have the ability to go there. Like Daniel Tice is
good,
a very impressive defender, but he's no match for Bam.
No.
And I think Game 6 proved that this year.
That was a special game to watch.
That was very special.
There's actually talk. It's funny you bring up Boston because I think they are going to surprise people a little bit. The whole Gordon Hayward thing felt like a bit of a distraction for them. So I think they are going to have an Sorry. I'm going to cut that one. I think the Celtics are going to have a addition by subtraction by losing Hayward. They picked up Tristan Thompson as a big man off the bench.
I kind of like that move.
So do I.
Yeah.
And Jeff Teague as a backup point guard.
I do like that one too.
But basically, what I'm getting at is they eliminated Hayward as a fourth option who might have felt slighted based on his money, based on his role. He didn't like where he was fitting.
Yeah.
You're slotting in Marcus Smart. Yeah. Good fourth guy.
Great
fourth guy, or Tice if you really want to bump him up to the fourth option.
Yeah.
Good fit. Good team. I really like Grant Williams. So I can see Boston.
I think Grant Williams has a lot to do this season. I think he's going to definitely have to take on a bigger role.
Yeah.
They possibly haven't got the wing depth that they had last year with obviously bringing a guy like Gordon Hayward off the bench is huge. They haven't got that this year. But yeah, they're well and truly good enough to make the playoffs again.
I think
I think that they're still a better team than the Bucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see. We might have to put a wager on that one because we're picking opposites.
I'm really just not a fan of the way the Bucks roster is built.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've been underwhelming in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Especially this season. I don't know what happened. Like, Miami was really good.
Miami just matched up better. I think that's what you can put it down to, is Miami's just a better matchup against the Bucks.
They could have played
and they just built a wall against Giannis and made Giannis try and beat them. And that was it.
Yeah, I think Miami played it well, so that's fair.
Yeah.
I wanted to...
So who have you got in the Lakers-Bucks?
Lakers.
Yeah.
Shocking.
How many games?
Lakers-Bucks. I'd probably give the Lakers 6 games.
Okay.
Tough series.
I had Lakers-Heat, and I had... Look, I want to say Heat in 6.
Come on, Homer.
I want to say Heat in 6.
Come on, Homer.
It's not going to be Heat in 6. It's Lakers in 7. I've got Lakers in 7.
I thought you were going to say it's going to be Heat in 4.
Look, as much as I want to go out on a limb for my team, they still have not got the roster to beat LeBron, AD.
Who does?
Who else did they add this season just to get even better? You do.
They're built to win rings.
Yeah.
LeBron is.
But I think that
collect.
It goes back to the point that I made before. You've got now AD might only sign a 1-year contract. You've got LeBron who has a player option now. Do they stay in LA? So this could be the last year of LA. That's another hot take.
That's a spicy take.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How many have I dropped this episode? Am I going to have enough clips?
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I wanted to just jump over to one bold prediction for each conference.
Yeah.
I'm going to love hearing what you have to say here.
Yep.
I'll let you start.
Okay. As I said, I think Phoenix are going to be the dark horse in the West. The addition of Chris Paul, a guy that can close out games and really manage the pace of the game as well.
Coach on the floor.
That's someone that they haven't had next to Devin Booker. And Devin Booker's a player now that you can't really double. Mm-hmm. You can't send another guard his way. Yep. You can't send a center his way because you've got Ayton in the paint.
Yep.
They've got a really well-constructed roster.
They do.
And I'm happy with the moves they made. I think that they'll be a top 4 team. That's my hot take.
That's your bold prediction for the West?
That's my bold prediction for the West.
Okay, interesting.
Also, let me just mention the other teams that I have in the top 4 because that also could be spicy. I've got Phoenix, Mavs, Lakers, Nuggets. Not in that order, but they're the top 4 teams I have in the West.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I think I had pretty much the same thing, except I swapped the Clippers instead of the Suns. But it's all like, really in the playoffs, it's about matchups. It doesn't matter if you're the 6. Yeah.
The West is a mess.
It's such a mess.
I do like I like what Phoenix did, and I think that they were really hard done by in this playoff series. How can you win every game to play in and then not make it?
I didn't like that.
That really annoyed me.
Yeah, it was hard to. Obviously, it would be hard for them to accept that.
It's hard to watch. I really wanted to see what Booker could do in the playoffs. I think that's a guy that.
Yeah. The funny thing is, at the same time, I really like that the Blazers made it, even though they were clearly, like, Lillard was going off.
They weren't ready.
They weren't. Well, they're not capable of winning against the Lakers. I don't know if the Suns were either, but the Suns were on such a roll. I think I would have liked to see them play the Lakers. I would have liked to have seen
them play the Lakers.
The Blazers put a scare into the Lakers with that first game.
Well, it's unfair to say that Dame, didn't deserve to be there either.
Yeah, so that's exactly right.
That was the hardest part about the play-ins is that one really good team was going to miss out.
Yeah.
But I think Portland is always there or thereabouts. They're never going to get past that first round or second round as long as the roster is built the way it is.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think they have one of the best rosters they've had in years now, but in the West it's really difficult.
Yeah.
Depending on the matchup, I don't know where they're going to go this year. It's okay. So, sticking with the Blazers, my bold prediction is that I think they're actually going to underperform this season. I think a lot of teams like them. A lot of people are picking them to go pretty far. They re-signed Rodney Hood. They got Covington in, who's a great pickup for any team. Mm-hmm. Great, versatile defensive player.
But why does he keep getting traded? Why does everyone trade
I think he's Covington? Just a good piece. He's not like a perfect player.
Yeah.
He's a role player in the same breadth of a Shane Battier style.
Yeah.
I don't think he has the IQ of Shane Battier, but I don't think him getting traded is an indictment on him. I think teams value him, but then the teams he's getting traded to are not necessarily able to keep him.
Okay.
I think it's just luck.
Okay.
What's going to happen to him?
Yep.
I don't think he's a head case or anything like that.
Yep.
But yeah, I think the Blazers are going to underperform because I think they have too much depth.
Okay.
I don't know if their roster works together. Especially, okay, so they have Lillard, McCollum. Covington is going to start at the 3 or just one of the forwards. Then you're going to have Melo most likely starting as well. And then
he has to start at power forward. He can't guard the 3.
Well, not only that, but Carmelo can't come off the bench.
Yeah,
I don't think he can.
No.
Not because he's not capable, but because he's mentally a little bit fragile.
Yeah.
So, and then you had Rodney Hood.
Rough. That's rough.
You saw that, Carmelo. You can at me.
That's rough.
Carmelo is the one that started don't at me, actually.
He did, actually, yeah.
But don't at me, Carmelo.
Yeah.
You're a little bit fragile for... I think his ego gets in the way of team success. I really do.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with Allen Iverson, and Allen Iverson is one of my favorite players of all time, but he wasn't willing to accept a bench role on a winning team, and it got him in trouble sometimes.
Practice.
Carmelo, that'd be a good time to play practice.
Yeah.
So the Blazers have too much depth. A lot of players will be asking for minutes. I don't know if it's going to work. They might be able to keep the players in check, but I just don't see it happening. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think they'll end up having to trade one in McCollum. I don't think it'll be Lillard. They'll probably trade McCollum.
Yep.
That's for the West.
Yeah. What have you got out east?
Okay. This is my favorite. This is my hottest take of the podcast.
Oh yeah.
I think the Atlanta Hawks are going to sneak into the playoffs, and probably at the 8th seed, 7th tops. I like what they did. We talked about them earlier, and you didn't fancy what they did, but I do like their roster. I like Trae Young, not defensively. I could score on Trae Young defensively.
Yeah.
And we're not going to put any footage of me playing basketball, but just trust me, I could score on Trae Young defensively.
Yeah.
I like the Gallinari signing, even though it was a bit too much money for him to come off the bench, apparently. I like Bogdanovic.
Man, defensively, they're just not there.
They're not there yet. I think they should focus on it.
This is your take. I'm not going to...
They should focus on defense. I agree.
I'm going to go no further than saying that I don't think they have the ability to match those good teams in the East defensively, and I don't know if they get enough wins on the board.
Okay. I could see them sneaking in at like a 41-41.
Yeah.
Like nothing special, get the crowd into it, exciting style of play. Trae Young's going to pop threes like no tomorrow.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. They're spreading the floor with Bogdanovic.
Look, they're going to score enough points to challenge every team. It's just, when you get into crunch time, who's stopping the other team's best player? There's no one on the court.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Chris Dunn is probably their best defensive player
on
the
you
perimeter.
Can't. How can you have a guy that can't score in crunch time,
Yeah, that's true.
Like you can't put Chris Dunn on the floor for the last 5 minutes because the other team's just going to leave him.
Avoid him.
Yeah.
Or just stay away.
Triple team Trae and just leave, every other player open, basically.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But they're making the playoffs.
Okay.
You heard it here first. Don't go to the betting places and start putting in numbers for this.
Okay.
But I like them to make the playoffs.
Okay. We're going to have a lot of people trying to claim back receipts now, Mac.
Damn.
Yeah.
Cut that bit.
Yeah. I have Charlotte pushing for the playoffs.
That's a hot one.
Man, yeah. I'm looking at the East going, what have Chicago got?
Nothing.
They have no one that is as good as Gordon Hayward. I'm looking at the Cavs. What are we going to get from teams like Washington? Are they going to trade everyone? Are they going to stay the way they are? Detroit are bad. The East is not good.
No.
So the Charlotte are the best of the beaten bunch, and that could be enough. If they get a couple of sneaky wins through the season, then they could be pushing for... I'm not going to go as far as to say they're going to make the playoffs, but let's just say that they're the best of the beaten bunch. They're going to be a much better team this year. I think they'll actually be worth watching.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be it, guys, for